There's nothing else that I've experienced or seen that can be so impactful for a man in such a short period of time. It's amazing. You can't even put words around it. It's just God shows up every weekend and does his work, and he transforms the lives of these men in a weekend. I can't think of a better or a different place that I would want to spend my time.
Welcome to the Crucible Project Podcast. The Crucible Project is a nonprofit organization committed to creating a world of men and women who live with integrity, grace, and courage, helping them to fulfill their God-given purpose. This podcast will discuss important and sometimes difficult topics while delivering practical life applications with men and women who are currently practicing this work. We are igniting Christ-like change in men and women through experiences of radical honesty and grace.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Crucible Podcast. This is Jay Mountjoy. I'm here with Rudy Gezik. Say hello to everyone, Rudy, and give us a little introduction.
Hey, Jay. Happy to be here on the podcast. Excited for the conversation today.
Yes, love it. All right, well, let's dive in. I like to do kind of a history of what was at the surface that got you to do a Crucible. When someone told you about the weekend, first of all, what they tell you about it, and then, what was kind of going on in your own life to get you into actually going to one?
I have an identical twin brother. A lot of the Crucible guys know him, John, and he went on his initial weekend about 18 months before I did. He started telling me about the weekend and inviting me to go. Like every time there was a weekend coming up, he was saying, "Hey, Rudy, man, you got to check this out. You got to check this out." And I was like, "No, I'm like, I don't really need a weekend. Everything's going fine. I don't really need a weekend." And I just came up with excuse after excuse. And I am grateful for his persistence because 18 months later, I think I just ran out of excuses. Magically, my calendar freed up for that weekend and I had no choice really than to go. Yeah, to go.
Yeah. So, and how did he describe it? He's just like, you got to do this weekend, or did he say anything about it?
I just noticed different things in him. And I'm like, "Man, what's going on with you? What's this all about?" kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, man, you got to go on a weekend." And I'm just like, "Nah," and I just kept resisting. So he didn't tell me anything about the weekend. It's really that I couldn't dodge him anymore. We're super close and we both really like the same kind of things. And when John says, you should do this, you should get this or use this or whatever it is, it's usually no questions asked. But for some reason, this weekend thing, it was just a little bit more persuasion needed to get me there.
Well, and then I also hear some level of divine timing and aligning stars and opening up schedules to make sure you could go.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I've noticed that so much more frequently since my initial weekend. And I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention before my initial weekend, but I am just so much more aware of those nudges, those coincidences that just seem to pop up. And this was definitely one of them.
So the weekend is experiential. And for people who are listening to this, we want everyone to have their own experience. And so we don't talk about what happens on the weekend, but we talk about our experience of the weekend. So I'm curious, once you get in on that first night of the weekend, what emotions or what things are coming up for you or what's going on in your life that comes to the surface?
I'll back up a little bit. So after I committed to going on the weekend, that's when things really started happening for me. I remember being at work, working 60 hours a week and just striving and trying to accumulate. And I remember just picking my head up from my desk saying, "Really? This is it? Like, this is what it's all about?" And just questioning that. I got to a point where I felt lost. Like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I've been working and striving and accumulating for, 25, 30 years. And I just felt so unfulfilled. This is it? Really? This sucks. I've been working so hard. That's what I brought with me on the weekend. I was really looking for like a North Star, some guidance. God was not part of my life at that time. I grew up Catholic. My uncle was a Catholic priest, so I checked all the boxes growing up about God and being Catholic, and I just felt disconnected and lost. That's what came to me after I committed to going on the weekend. So it was right in that short window of time when I said, yes, I'll go to the actual weekend. This just started stirring up in me, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to bring into the weekend with me.
So I'm curious, in that first night and maybe into the next day, what emotions are kind of associated with that?
My gateway emotion is fear. I am afraid of a lot of things. When I showed up on Friday, that fear was just like bubbling over in me. And there was a lot of doubt. If it wasn't for my brother, who I just trust implicitly, even though it took me 18 months to go to the weekend, I am so glad that he stayed on me to go. He was in the back of my mind the whole weekend that my brother I know he loves me. And I know that he believes that this is something that I need, and I trust him.
So I'm curious if there are any other kind of highlights through that weekend, but how did you walk out of that weekend?
Yeah, I mean, the weekend was so introspective for me. I'm an Enneagram 1, so I'm a thinker and a planner, and I enjoy spending time with myself, learning and exploring. And so it was really an opportunity to take a look at some things that I probably didn't really want to take a look at, but needed to take a look at. And it was very revealing how I was feeling and what I was carrying. The weekend just helped bring that to the surface and put it in front of me so that I could really take an honest look at that. So there was the initial fear of going into something that was unknown to me, but knowing that I trusted the man who invited me, my brother, and then just processing through those emotions and the things that came up for me. Coming out of it on Sunday with just a renewed sense of energy and excitement and peace. I remember driving home, I took a picture of me, a selfie of me in the car, and sent it to him. And I said, thanks for sticking with me on this. It was awesome.
I'm wondering if you want to share anything about what showed up for you that led to some peace.
And Jay, I'll tell you, this has just been a journey. And I love the fact that I was encouraged to start it. I'm even more grateful that I've just continued it through group work and everything for years since I've done my initial weekend. You know, one of the things that came up for me on my initial weekend was this feeling that I have to be perfect to be loved. And that was something that I still carry with me. I keep it in front of me so I understand it more. But back growing up, that's how I felt. I have to do everything right. And when I do, I get good things. And if I don't, then I get bad things. And to just take a quick left turn there too is that really bled into my spiritual life as well. God was Santa Claus. If I did good stuff, I got rewarded. If I did bad stuff, I got punished. And that really became just a parallel track for me on my personal journey as my spiritual journey is just unraveling a lot of those things that I was brought up with and learned about my relationship with God. And that was unexpected. I wasn't expecting that to be part of my journey, but so grateful that it was.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the weekend. It will bring up things and oftentimes core stuff that continues as we're able to do more work and to show up in more ways. And so I'm just sitting with the idea of like, I have to be perfect. Sounds like fear that comes with that. And then to get to peace. This is something I want to drive home. The experiential part of the weekend is that there's different ways of being. And as we do this work and go through these experiences, there is a different way of being on the far side of that. That is really impactful for me and something that wasn't really even on the menu as I was growing up. Yeah, what was that experience like going back into your life, into your work, into all the other things?
Yeah, I came out of my weekend, I was on fire. Like, man, I was like, how am I going to get more of this? And I remember immediately signing up for a 2-year group. And of course, I had the benefit of my brother who was also in a 2-year group. So after I got to the weekend, I was much more willing to listen to him. I waited 18 months to go on my initial weekend, but I think I only waited like a week before I joined a 2-year group. And that was just awesome. You know, I've grown so much through that group, and those guys are phenomenal men. And just the concept of having someone to hold me accountable and to sharpen me and to help me be the man that I really wanted to be, a man of integrity, that was just amazing. And I've been in a group ever since my initial weekend because I need that. I need other men to hold me accountable and keep me sharp. I've tried to do it on my own. Doesn't work out so well. It's much better having just the love and support and encouragement and the sharpening and the challenging when I needed it. And I definitely need it.
I love that. So when did you go through your first initial weekend?
Yeah, so my initial weekend was back in 2018. It was March of 2018, and I joined a 2-year group May of 2018. So like right after that, by the time I, applied and we got through the admin type stuff and
Yeah.
availability, right? There was an opportunity for me to join a group of men that one other guy that went on my initial weekend with me joined that group. The 8 or 9 other guys I'd never met before. And that was interesting in itself, is just to be dropped into a group of men that I don't know, and just to have the structure and in my sense, the permission to hold people accountable and challenge them, because that was the tip of the iceberg for all of us. That's the kind of man that we all wanted to be. And so to be able to challenge somebody that I just met, I mean, I've never would have done that outside of that circle. But it was an expectation of each other. And I expected men to hold me accountable as they expected that from me. And that was just the beautiful part of that group, is that we all wanted the same thing, and we were all committed to helping each other be the men that we wanted to be.
Oh, that's a beautiful way of saying that. I, in 2017, got into a 2-year group, and I had the story of like, wow, if a weekend impacted me this much, this shifted something in me, how awesome am I going to be in 2 years?
Yeah.
And then, part of the 2-year group for me was the accountability, but the work that happened in that 2-year group just continued and deepened to overlay that with accountability, to overlay that with me doing my own emotional work and wounding work, and seeing other men do that. There was something that I have just not found otherwise.
As part of the 2-year group, you go through the 4 second level weekends. And I was on fire again to go on my mission weekend. I just had something burning inside of me that, like, I need to go on my mission weekend. I need to go figure this out. I need to go do this. And so I actually went and did my mission weekend in Texas instead of, Chicago, where I was doing my local 2-year group. And the experience of being dropped into that community where I didn't know anybody, out of state, who is this guy? And just the support and the love that I got from the guy picking me up from the airport, to the camaraderie and the benefit of everybody doing work and trying to help each other. Even though I didn't know what they did, I didn't know anything about them other than that they are part of this brotherhood and part of the community of men who want to live in integrity. It was awesome.
I echo that. I got to do one weekend down in Texas also. My story was that most of the men there, most of the men serving me, I have lived a very different life, right? Very different culture, very different experiences. And yet there is some deeper current of love that really comes through that, again, I don't find in other places in life, that I love about this brotherhood. Yeah. So a quick part here for people who are listening who maybe have never heard, that there is an initial weekend, and then there are second level weekends, other experiences, 4 others of them, and the 2-year group includes that. So a 2-year group for me was meeting every week, and there's an opportunity to continue doing our work, to continue supporting each other, and then coaching calls, and then these second level weekends. So, about every 6 months or so, going and doing another second level weekend and going through this group with men that I found hugely impactful. And for me, just last night, I led our call. We rotate leadership. I led our call for a handful of men that I was in that 2-year group with. That was 8 years ago that we started that. And we're still getting together. And for me, I noticed I will tend to just float down the river in a tube, and unless I'm putting these stretches in my life and looking for accountability and looking for these men to support me, and to do the same for them. So for your group coming out of the 2-year program, what does that look like?
Yeah, after our 2-year group, I joined a 2-year graduate group with my brother, a handful of guys that he was in his 2-year program with. And then there were a couple guys that I actually went on my initial weekend with that joined this 2-year graduate group. And we've been doing that for 4 or 5 years now. And it's great to have the different personalities, different strengths in the group. I am not a challenger, so I need to be challenged for me to challenge back. And it's just a great mix of guys. We meet every other week, and we rotate leadership, and I love it. And that's how I continue to do my work in that group. In addition to the accountability, there's also that personal work that you get a chance to do in those types of settings. I'm grateful that I get to continue that journey with these guys, because these guys, they're awesome. I love them all.
I love that. So I am curious about the things that were going on for you that bubbled up right before your weekend. And to compare and contrast that with having gone through a 2-year group, still being in community, how is that looking now?
Wow. It's very different. Let's see. How can I talk about that? It's my work world has changed significantly. I left corporate America about 3 years ago. And so now I'm doing just individual coaching. So part of that is the mind shift that I've been through about just looking forward. I talked about this accumulating and acquiring, improving. And at this stage of my life, as I'm looking more towards giving back and not competing, it's just a totally different mindset for me. The part of my journey that's ahead of me can be the most exciting and life-giving part in my entire journey. That's just so exciting. I can give you one example. I remember, like I just talked to you about me going on my mission weekend. And it was like I was on fire. I was like, I had to go. I did it. Boom.
That's okay.
I'm in control of all this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now, as I shift my mindset, I know that my personal mission is changing from what it used to be, and I don't know exactly what that is. And I know now that it will come to me when it's supposed to come to me. So in the past, I was like, I'm going to sit at my desk and hammer this out. I got to figure this out. This is all up to me. I got to do it. Now I know it's happening. I understand that God's timeline is way better than mine. His plan is way better than mine. And now I'm just much more open to letting that happen to me. When that time comes, I have trust and faith that it will come to me when it's supposed to. And it probably won't be on my timeline. And I've just become so comfortable with that. Where in the past, it was like, no, you got to get it done by noon today. You got to have your new mission statement figured out. And so that's just an example of like how things have changed for me.
Yeah.
And that's part of my personal journey and also my spiritual journey.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I'm hearing in there that I think is super powerful is in the weekend, from experiencing fear, this is just generalizations that I'm hearing, to coming out with peace, kind of on the other end of that weekend, to continuing to do work, continuing to learn about yourself, to do the same pattern in your Crucible journey of like go out there and achieve and get things done, to do it on your own. That resonates with me. But the final place that lands, to move from fear to trust, that's a spiritual journey. And my story would be that's a journey also.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
How does that play into the important relationships of moving from one space, getting into more of a trust in God space?
It's a journey, right? And that part is also continuing. And, at this stage in my life, when I talk to you about needing to be perfect to be loved, as I grow through that and look forward where I am at this stage of my life, I'm wondering, is it less about me getting love versus me giving love? And that's part of my mind shift. This transcends everything, right? Like relationships and people and how do you spend your time and what's most important. And it's something that I'm leaning into, and it's just the current step in my journey, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited that I don't have it figured out yet, and I know it's coming.
Yeah.
And I am just trusting that it's going to be amazing, like all the other steps that I've been on since my initial weekend. So yeah.
The story or an image that I have is that in order to move from like wanting love and wanting to figure out how to get love, is that the cup is overflowing, that work has shown up. It is filling up your cup and it now overflows to find other people. Thinking of your own story, what would you go back and tell yourself from where you are now that you think might have helped yourself?
You talked a little bit about staffing weekends, and I've staffed a bunch. I remember experiencing the weekend from a staff man's perspective.
Yes.
And just saying to myself, this is just amazing. I could not think of anything that would give someone that type of transformation in really 2.5 days or day and a half, from Friday night to Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And on Sundays, out of all the weekends that I staff, I just look back with humbleness and gratitude and say, how can I not do this work? Because there's nothing else that I've experienced or seen that can be so impactful for a man in such a short period of time. I've coached people. I've been a leader in corporate America, and you are able to help people maybe think differently or challenge them, but nothing like the magnitude that a man would get on the weekend. And that's why I just keep coming back, because I love to see participants come in Friday night just like I did. Either they're scared or they're angry or whatever they're bringing with them. And to see that transformation on Sunday afternoon when they're leaving, it's amazing. It's almost like you can't even comprehend it. Like you can't even put words around it. It's just God shows up every weekend and does his work. And I trust him. And I know that he's going to show up every weekend. And he just transforms the lives of these men in a weekend. There's nothing that I know of that's more impactful. I can't think of a better or a different place that I would want to spend my time than focusing on helping men go through this transformation. And it's the beginning of a journey. Sometimes it's scary to get started, but I would encourage you to trust the man who is inviting you to the weekend, just like I trusted my brother, because that man loves you and he sees something in you that he wants you to come to a weekend.
That is beautiful. Part of my work is like not trying to live in this citadel or this fortress. And every time I go to a weekend, I find that there is some dam that I have built up that can break and that can move. So one of the last avenues I was just thinking of being a leader and talking to other leaders, other managers, other people in corporate America to have progressed in that career. This quote is popping up for me that I think is really helpful. Any amount of work that we are willing to do on ourselves and the time that we'll take to do that work is a gift to the people who love us. There's always more to learn and do in this work. And to lead this work, you need to be doing your work. I love that too. What's that look like for you right now in this stage?
Yeah, just most recently getting my coaching certification from the Professional Christian Coaching Institute. So that's coaching with a God lens through it. It's my desire and willingness to just continue to learn and do my work. So I've read, more books in the last 5 years than I've done in the 50 before that, without a doubt. And the group work has been amazing. I've realized, because I've tried, you can't do life alone. You cannot do this work by yourself. And as much as I talked about this earlier, that, I'll figure it out, I'll do it, I'll get the stuff done. It's been a humbling experience to be surrounded by men who will help if you just ask them, if you just reach out to them. Even just being in the company of those men to see what it looks like for a man who's not you to live a life of integrity and love. And just to see those different examples, I just pick up pieces of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I see that in that man. I want to be more like that. So how can I do that? Do I reach out to him, talk to him? Do I read something? Do I, join a group? Is that a topic of discussion? Is that my personal work? Like what's getting in the way of that? Is that some work that I need to do? There's a long list. And as much as I appreciate and I'm grateful for the journey so far, I know there's so much ahead. And it's not a daunting feeling? Oh my God, I got so much work to do.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes I get like that, but there's more excitement and trust and knowing that there's just even brighter lights ahead of me. And I just love that.
I love that, Rudy. I just want to say, with everything that I've heard that you've been through and every way God has made you, there is no other way you could be than the way you are right now. And I love that, man. I love the inspiration you have, the trust that you have, the connections you have. Thank you so much for showing up, sharing your story. Anything else that you wanted to share, you wanted to say?
Yeah. Part of what drives me to continue to do this work is the pay it forward mindset. I so much appreciate the men who have invested in me and helped me. I'm so grateful for you all. And I just hope that I can be that man for somebody else moving forward.
Yeah. My core belief is that you have and you are that man for other men. What a world we could make. We show up in that way for each other. Wow. Thank you so much, Rudy, for your heart, for your tears. They are welcome here. I love you brought your whole self and your whole heart to this conversation. I'm just feeling a lot of gratitude and a lot of love. I'll leave it right there.
For more information about our weekends, please go to thecrucibleproject.org. Or if you're ready to get started on your transformational journey right now, you can connect with one of our Crucible certified coaches for a free 30-minute session at thecrucibleproject.org/coaching. That's thecrucibleproject.org/coaching. If you like what you heard, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Rate and review wherever you are listening. And don't forget to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform. Thank you for listening.